not expire. Do you know what I'm talking about? Today, I want to talk to you about the myth of thinking outside the box. I mean, I got a call yesterday by a friend of mine, and he called me crazy guy, okay? And I mean, this friend of mine name is Joe, and Joe calls me crazy guy. And I'm like, Joe, why do you call me crazy guy? Joe says that you always have these crazy ideas, these crazy insights. And for him, it's just unbelievable how I stand for what I think, how I stand for what I believe, and how I stand for the things I talk about, which comes from the heart. Look, in last week's episode, I was talking about how this is the time when we've got to speak from our heart. I was talking about how this is the time for us to truly stand for what we believe, because there's so much information out there that's really confusing us. And in the midst of that confusion, we are asked to think creatively. We are asked to stimulate our thinking and our mind so that we can solve nowadays problems and challenges. I know that we hear all the time about thinking outside the box. But what does it mean to truly think outside the box? Is it to think creatively? Is it to think one level above what we are truly exposed to? Or is it to simply think like an Albert Einstein? Talking about Albert Einstein, he has a quote that the thinking that has brought you thus far is the thinking that cannot solve the problem that you have now. So what is this concept of the myth of thinking outside the box? What I'm saying is that when we say thinking outside the box, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying that it is a myth. Because here's what I say, okay? Hear me out for a second. Look, we can only think so far based on what we have been exposed to. Okay, we can only think so far based on our conditioning. So when you change your exposure, what you do is you stretch your brain, your thinking, the information that you have, the data on which you make decisions, the data on which you have ideas. What you do is you just add a little bit to that data, which stretch your thinking, which stretch your reasoning, which stretches the way you perceive life. Now, if we take that data box, like the box that they're asking us to think out of, so when you add something, what you do, it simply increases the size of that box. So the box is forever there. So the box is forever there. Truly speaking, there is no thinking outside the box. No. Let me drop that on you today. There is no thinking outside the box. The people that are solving big problems are only thinking based on the box they have. Oh yeah. Hear me out very well. I love the technology of Elon Musk that is, creating tourism space, talking about Tesla and stuff. Look, in this afternoon, I'm going to be giving a talk at JCI Island about the leaders from Mars. And that concept was inspired to me by this whole technology of Elon Musk that's going into planet Mars. Now, why am I talking about Elon Musk? Elon Musk is somebody that's known to think extremely creatively about some crazy solutions. But notice the kind of exposure this guy has had his entire life. Notice the kind of information this guy is exposed to. Notice the circles that this guy navigates in. Therefore, he can only think based on the information that he is exposed to. So truly speaking, I'm saying that Elon Musk does not really think outside the box. His thinking is only the product of his environment. So the question is, how do we really think? How are we supposed to think so that we can solve our day-to-day problems? How are we supposed to think so that whenever we see ourselves facing a life challenge, whenever we see ourselves facing what is truly holding us back, how should we think or behave? You know what we should do? The key is to be transformed. The key is to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. In other words, what I'm saying is that there's no thinking outside the box. What it truly is to renew your mind. Now, when you renew your mind, it's even much deeper than thinking outside the box. When you renew your mind, you free yourself from the three toughest demons of mankind: fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. Even with your little idea, when you believe in yourself, when you know that the image that you have of yourself is greater than the one that is outside, when you know that nothing can come against you, when you know that you have been created in the image of God and everything is possible, when you know and believe that, doesn't matter what your idea is, doesn't matter what your thinking pattern is, but you can take anything and make it successful because you have tapped into your true potential. Woo! I'm on fire today. So I'm saying there is no thinking outside the box. Thinking outside the box is a myth. When I inspire you, I stimulate your mind to think a little bit creatively, says Google. So what I only do is to stimulate your mind to think. But even that, when you think, you cannot think much further than the information that has been put into your mind. That's why it's important that you gotta do some reading continuously so that you can add much more information in your mind. That's why it's important that you have to be with the right people, QPO, quality people only, because when you're with the right people, the ideas that you have become innovative. When you are with the right people, the motivation that is in you becomes brand new. When you are with the right people, the things you do, the way you live, the things you speak about becomes the quality of standard of life that you live by. Oh yeah, let me drop that on you today. You know, I created this group in Antalya. Okay, it's a public speaking group, and particularly for me, it's been really fascinating to see people grow every single day. I mean, I've seen people that couldn't even say one word when they stand in front of a crowd. I've seen these people go from that and make an entire 10-minute speech. I want to talk to you about Yusuf. Yusuf is this gentleman software engineer that didn't socialize at all. Yusuf dealt with this issue that deep within him, he was close to being burned out and deal with depression. His wife had left him. He had divorced and worked all the way top to the organization and lost all of that. Yusuf didn't know what to do with his life until he discovered this group that I've created and he joined. I gotta tell you this though, that yesterday Yusuf stood up and gave a 15-minute TED talk, a talk that was so good that he got a stand-up innovation. Now, why am I telling the story of Yusuf? I'm telling the story of Yusuf because many of us out there think that thinking outside the box will be what will solve our daily problems. Oh yeah, no. But what Yusuf, the software engineer, the smart guy, what he has to do to actually tap into a zone that his monster is, what Yusuf had to do to overcome his fear, to overcome his depression, his antisocial skills, what Yusuf had to do is to free himself, to take a stand, to throw himself in a situation that could help him overcome the three toughest demons of mankind: fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. What Yusuf had to do was to be transformed by renewing his mind. Okay. Oh man, I'm excited, okay? I'm excited, all right? Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the leaders from Mars to these folks from Ireland, okay? I'm going to be sharing some crazy concept with them about this leadership from Mars. It's a brand new concept I created not long ago. Look, here's what I want to leave you with. Thinking outside the box is a myth. What you want to do is renew your mind. What you truly want to stand for is the guy that has taken his fears his doubt, his low self-esteem with the minimum, the tiny idea that he has, and that throw himself at it. That I will do this no matter what. That I will go from $0 to $1 million. That I will go from $1 million to $3 million. That I will go from where I am to the moon. Because I will shoot for the moon even if I land on the stars. I have done great. Ladies and gentlemen, remember you can be great. My name is Stephen Dossou, and I will see you on top. Bye-bye.